He smiled as he said, "We're terminating your employment, effective immediately." I smiled back, then pulled from my briefcase 5 resignation letters that made his face turn pale. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But sometimes, the best revenge isn't planned at all. It's simply having the foresight to protect the people who matter. That morning, sitting across from my manager in that sterile conference room, I realized I wasn't just losing a job. I was about to watch an entire company crumble, one resignation at a time. My name is Aaron Matthews, and at 35, I'd built something most people in the creative industry only dream about, a team so loyal, they'd follow me through the gates of hell. As Senior Project Director at Horizon Nexus, one of Austin's most prestigious marketing agencies, I wasn't just managing accounts. I was the architect of relationships, both with clients and the 5 brilliant minds who formed the backbone of our creative department. Austin's tech boom had transformed the city into a playground for innovation, and Horizon Nexus sat right at its heart, a glass tower overlooking Lady Bird Lake, where million-dollar campaigns were born over locally roasted coffee and breakfast tacos. I'd been there for 3 years, but my real asset wasn't tenure. It was the team I'd brought with me from my previous agency. Marcus, our lead designer who could make brands sing, Sarah, the copywriter who turned products into stories, James and Rita, our digital strategists who understood algorithms like they were written in their native tongue, and Tom, our account coordinator who kept clients happy even when we pushed boundaries they didn't know existed. We weren't just colleagues. We were a unit forged through late nights, impossible deadlines, and the kind of creative battles that either break teams apart or weld them together forever. When I left my previous position, they didn't hesitate. "Where you go, we go," Sarah had said, and the others nodded. That kind of loyalty in this industry was rarer than finding parking downtown during SXSW. Everything changed when Logan Price arrived, fresh from a hostile takeover at a competing firm. Logan swept into Horizon Nexus with the title of Executive Vice President and the demeanor of a corporate executioner. In his early 40s, with prematurely gray hair, he wore like a crown and suits that cost more than most people's monthly rent. Logan embodied everything wrong with modern corporate leadership. He spoke in buzzwords and KPIs. But beneath the MBA vernacular was something more sinister, a deep-seated resentment toward anyone who commanded respect without demanding it, especially women who did it better than him. I knew we were in trouble during his first all-hands meeting. While introducing the leadership team, he spent 5 minutes praising male directors by name, then lumped all female leaders together with a dismissive, and of course, our talented ladies in various departments. The room shifted uncomfortably. I caught Marcus's eye. He was already seeing what I was seeing. But I wasn't just any female leader. I was the one holding the keys to Horizon's most lucrative accounts. TechFlow, our $10 million flagship client, had signed with Horizon specifically because of my team's pitch. 3 other major accounts followed because of our reputation. The numbers didn't lie. My division generated 40% of the agency's revenue with just 5 people. Logan knew this. The data was all there in the quarterly reports he studied like scripture. But men like Logan don't see numbers when they look at women like me. They see threats. They see power in the wrong hands. They see problems that need solving. What Logan didn't know was that I'd survived worse than him. I'd clawed my way up from unpaid internships, through agencies that thought creative input meant fetching coffee, past bosses who took credit for my ideas while explaining why I wasn't ready for promotion. I'd learned to document everything, build alliances, and most importantly, protect my people. Because in this industry, talent walks out the door every evening. The only question is whether it comes back the next morning. The first shot came disguised as efficiency. "Aaron, moving forward, all contracts over $50,000 need my signature," Logan announced during a Tuesday morning check-in, sliding a memo across his pristine desk. Just streamlining our approval process. I maintained eye contact, watching him fidget with his Mont Blanc pen. "That's every contract my team handles." "Exactly. Better oversight means better outcomes." His smile never reached his eyes. Within a week, my inbox filled with declined meeting invitations. Strategy sessions I'd led for 2 years suddenly happened without me. Client calls got rescheduled to times when I was conveniently booked elsewhere. The passive-aggressive symphony had begun, and Logan was its conductor. The real artistry came during public executions disguised as meetings. Aaron, can you explain why the Morrison campaign took 3 days longer than projected? Logan asked during a packed conference room review, knowing full well he'd delayed approval for 48 hours. The creative assets were submitted on schedule, I responded calmly. The bottleneck occurred during the approval. I'm not interested in excuses. He turned to address the room, playing to his audience. Leadership means accountability. When we miss deadlines, we lose client trust. Sarah's knuckles went white around her pen. Marcus stared at the table. They knew what this was, a slow-motion character assassination. Each meeting another cut designed to bleed my credibility dry. But Logan's masterpiece was the Whisper campaign. Tom came to my office one Thursday evening, closing the door behind him. He offered me a 20% raise, he said without preamble. Said I was being held back by outdated leadership structures. What did you tell him? That I'd think about it. Tom's loyalty ran deep, but he had a mortgage and twins starting college. Aaron, what's his endgame here? I knew exactly what Logan wanted. He'd already placed 2 of his former colleagues in key positions. My team was the last stronghold of the old guard. And I was the wall standing between him and complete control. Push me out, scatter my people. And he could reshape the department with disciples who'd never question his methods. Rita confirmed my suspicions the next day. He cornered me after the client presentation, she said, voice shaking with anger. Suggested I might want to diversify my experience under different leadership. When I didn't bite, he mentioned how competitive the job market is right now. The threat wasn't subtle. Austin's creative scene was thriving, but it was also ruthlessly networked. Logan had connections. One whispered word about performance issues could poison wells across the city. James and Marcus reported similar encounters. Always informal, never documented. Always framed as career advice while planting seeds of doubt. Logan was trying to turn my greatest strength, my team's loyalty, into a liability. He's trying to isolate you, Marcus observed during our Friday afternoon coffee run. Classic predator behavior. Separate the target from the pack. He was right. But Logan had made one crucial miscalculation. He thought my team followed me out of habit or comfort. He didn't understand we were bound by something stronger than contracts or convenience. We'd built something together. And people don't abandon what they've built, not without a fight. I called the meeting for Sunday afternoon at my apartment, neutral ground, away from office surveillance and Logan's spies. We need to talk about exit strategies, I said, pouring coffee while my team settled into my living room. The Austin skyline glittered through floor-to-ceiling windows, a view I'd earned through years of 70-hour weeks. You're not seriously thinking of leaving? Sarah asked, though her tone suggested she already knew the answer. I'm thinking Logan won't stop until I'm gone, I replied. The question is whether we let him dictate the terms. Marcus leaned forward. What are you proposing? I'd spent sleepless nights crafting this plan, each piece precisely positioned. Logan wants to fire me. It's coming, probably within the next 2 weeks. When he does, he'll expect you to fall in line. Grateful to keep your jobs. Fat chance, Tom muttered. But what if we flip the script? I continued. What if instead of him scattering us to the wind, we leave together, on our terms, on our timeline? Rita caught on first. You want us to resign when he fires you? Not just resign, I want those resignations in my hand before he makes his move. I pulled out 5 document folders, each containing a carefully drafted resignation letter. Sign them, date them 2 weeks out, I'll hold on to them. If Logan plays fair, which we know he won't, we tear them up. But when he makes his move, we make ours. James finished, a slow smile spreading across his face. The room fell silent as they absorbed the audacity of it. In the corporate world, mass resignations were nuclear weapons, devastating, final, and impossible to spin, especially when those resigning held the relationships with every major client. I've already put out feelers, I added. Velocity Creative wants to poach our entire team. Sterling and Associates has openings. Even if we don't land together immediately, you'll have options. Good ones. This is bigger than just leaving, Sarah said slowly. This could destroy the entire department. I met each of their eyes in turn. Logan destroyed it the moment he arrived. We're just choosing not to be buried in the rubble. One by one, they signed. Tom first, his jaw set with determination. Rita next, her signature sharp and decisive. James and Sarah together, exchanging glances that spoke of shared resolve. Finally, Marcus, who'd been with me the longest, added his name with a flourish. When do you think he'll move? Tom asked. Soon. He's getting bolder, more reckless. Yesterday he told TechFlow's CMO that he'd be personally overseeing their account going forward. I smiled grimly. She called me immediately, concerned about the change. I told her not to worry, that everything would be clarified soon. I locked the resignations in my home safe. 5 pieces of paper that would become 5 bullets in Logan's professional suicide. He wanted to play chess with people's livelihoods. He just didn't realize I'd already positioned my pieces for checkmate. Keep performing, I instructed. Don't give him any ammunition. Let him think he's winning. As they filed out, Marcus lingered. You know this will make waves beyond horizon. Good, I said, watching the sun set over Austin's sprawl. Maybe it's time this industry learned what happens when you mistake loyalty for weakness. The email arrived at 8:47 a.m. on a Wednesday. Mandatory meeting, conference room A, 9 a.m. Logan Price. I knew before opening it. The terseness, the timing, the choice of conference room A, the one with glass walls where everyone could witness my professional execution. I slipped the 5 resignation letters into my portfolio, their weight both terrible and liberating. Logan had assembled an audience, the HR director, his 2 imported lieutenants, and conveniently, several junior staff positioned where they'd have a clear view through the glass. A lesson was being taught here. This is what happens when you don't fall in line. Aaron, please sit. Logan gestured to the chair across from him, the interrogation seat. We called it. I settled in. Portfolio beside me, hands folded calmly while my heart hammered against my ribs. I'll cut to the chase, he began, that practiced smile spreading across his face like oil on water. Your performance has been consistent with Horizon Nexus's evolving standards. We're terminating your employment, effective immediately. The HR director shifted uncomfortably, sliding a termination package across the table. We've prepared a severance. No need to review it now. Logan interrupted, savoring his moment. Security will escort you to clean out your desk. We've already informed your team that I'll be handling the transition personally. I let the silence stretch, watching his smile falter slightly at my lack of reaction. Through the glass, I could see faces turning our way, the office telegraph already spreading the news. I see, I said finally, reaching for my portfolio. Well, if we're making transitions. I pulled out the 5 letters, fanning them across the table like a poker hand. These are resignations from Marcus Chen, Sarah Williams, James Rodriguez, Rita Patel, and Tom Morrison. Effective immediately. Logan's face went through a spectacular evolution, confusion, disbelief, then a creeping pallor as the implications hit. What is this? The free market at work, I replied, sliding the letters toward the HR director, who looked like she might faint. They've decided their talents are better utilized elsewhere, as is their right. You can't. Logan started to stand, then sat back down hard. This is coordinated. This is sabotage? This is 5 individuals making career decisions. I kept my voice steady, professional. Unless you're suggesting they don't have the right to resign? His hands trembled as he grabbed the letters, scanning the signatures, the dates, all legitimate, all binding. TechFlow, Morrison Industries, the pharmaceutical campaign. Yes, I agreed pleasantly. Those would be the accounts my team handles. Handled, I'm sure your imported talent can manage. After all, you've been telling everyone how much more efficient your methods are. The HR director was already on her phone, probably calling legal. Through the glass, I saw my team gathering their belongings, calm and methodical. They'd been ready for this moment. Personal items already sorted, client files properly closed out. Logan's carefully orchestrated power play was crumbling in real time, and everyone in the office was watching it happen. The executioner had just discovered he'd built his own gallows. You planned this, he accused, voice rising. You vindictive. I protected my people, I corrected, standing to leave. Something you might have learned if you'd spent less time plotting and more time leading. The last thing I saw before walking out was Logan's face, no longer smug, no longer in control. Just a middle manager who'd played with matches and burned down his own house. By noon, Horizon Nexus was in full meltdown mode. I sat in the coffee shop across the street, watching employees stream out for emergency smoke breaks, their animated gestures visible even from a distance. My phone buzzed constantly. Former colleagues, industry contacts, even journalists who'd somehow caught wind of the mass exodus. Sarah texted from her car. Security actually applauded when I left. Logan's locked-in crisis meetings. The dominoes fell faster than even I'd anticipated. At 2:15, Jennifer Liu from TechFlow called me directly. Aaron, what the hell is happening over there? Logan just called asking for all our project files, but he doesn't even know what platform we use for asset management. I'm no longer with Horizon Nexus, I replied carefully. I'm sure Mr. Price will get up to speed quickly. Like hell he will. Jennifer's voice was sharp. We signed with Horizon because of your team. The contract has a key personnel clause. Did Logan even check that before his power play? I hadn't known about the clause, but I kept my voice neutral. You'll need to discuss that with Horizon's legal department. Already am. We're invoking the 30-day termination notice. And Aaron? When you land somewhere new, call me. Morrison Industries followed suit within hours. Then the pharmaceutical company. By evening, 3 of Horizon's largest accounts had initiated contract reviews or outright cancellations. The Austin business community was small enough that word traveled at light speed. Logan Price had just cost his agency millions in recurring revenue by ego-tripping over a woman who wouldn't bow down. Marcus forwarded me an internal email that had leaked. All hands meeting tomorrow, 8 a.m., mandatory. The tone was barely controlled panic, but the real satisfaction came from an unexpected source. Around 7 p.m., my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. Ms. Matthews, this is David Kim, chairman of Horizon Nexus's board. I apologize for calling after hours, but we're trying to understand what happened today. I chose my words carefully. Mr. Price terminated my employment this morning. My former team members subsequently chose to resign. Beyond that, I'm not at liberty to discuss personnel matters. Cut the corporate speak. Aaron. His voice was tired. I've got 3 major clients threatening to walk, a department in ruins, and Logan Price claiming you orchestrated some kind of conspiracy. I need the truth. The truth is that Logan spent 2 months systematically undermining my authority, threatening my team, and creating a hostile work environment. Today he fired me to complete his takeover. My team chose not to work under those conditions. Silence stretched before David spoke again. Would you consider returning if Logan were no longer an obstacle? My team and I have already committed elsewhere. I lied smoothly. But I appreciate the offer. I figured as much. He sighed heavily. For what it's worth, the board knew nothing about Logan's plans. We'll be conducting a full review. After we hung up, I walked back to my apartment. The Austin evening warm and full of possibility. My team was safe. Logan's career at Horizon was measured in hours, not days. And somewhere in the city, hiring managers were about to receive some very interesting resumes. The knife had been pulled out. Now it was time to watch Logan bleed. The death spiral of Logan Price was swift and merciless. Thursday's all-hands meeting became his professional funeral. According to Rita's friend who still worked there, Logan had tried to project confidence, outlining his strategic vision for seamless transition. But halfway through, David Kim and two other board members walked in unannounced. The meeting ended with Logan being escorted to a closed-door session that lasted 3 hours. By Friday morning, his nameplate was gone. The official email came at 10 a.m. Horizon Nexus announces the departure of Logan Price to pursue other opportunities. We thank him for his brief service and wish him well in his future endeavors. Corporates speak for, "You're fired," and everyone knows why. But Logan's termination was just the beginning of Horizon's problems. The agency hemorrhaged talent as word spread about what really happened. 2 more creative teams resigned within a week, citing leadership concerns. Junior staff updated their LinkedIn profiles en masse. Headhunters circled like sharks scenting blood in the water. Sarah forwarded me an article from Adweek. Austin agency Horizon Nexus faces client exodus after leadership shakeup. The piece detailed how losing 40% of their revenue had triggered a cascade of budget cuts. The satellite office in Dallas closed within a month. The San Antonio expansion was scrapped. Stock prices for their parent company dipped 12%. They're offering insane retention bonuses to anyone who stays. Tom told me over drinks at our usual spot on 6th Street. But nobody's buying it. The place is toxic now. Marcus had been tracking Logan's downfall with the dedication of a forensic accountant. "He's radioactive," he reported with undisguised satisfaction. Posted on LinkedIn about exciting new opportunities, but my contacts say he can't even get interviews. Word's out that he cost Horizon 8 figures in lost revenue. The irony was delicious. Logan had wanted to remake Horizon in his image, lean, mean, and unquestioningly loyal to him. Instead, he'd created a case study in how not to manage creative talent, one that would be whispered about at industry conferences for years. 3 months later, Horizon Nexus quietly sold its remaining assets to a competitor. The Austin office, once a landmark of creative achievement, became overflow parking for the tech company next door. David Kim sent me a final email. "I hope you've landed well. We should have listened to the numbers instead of the noise." But the real validation came from an unexpected source. 6 months after that Wednesday morning, I ran into Logan at an industry mixer. He'd lost weight, his expensive suits replaced by off-the-rack business casual. The predatory confidence was gone, replaced by something that looked almost like humility. "Aaron," he said, his voice missing its old edge. "I heard about your new venture. Congratulations." I studied him for a moment, this man who'd tried to destroy everything I'd built. "Thank you, Logan." He started to walk away, then turned back. For what it's worth, I learned something from what happened, about leadership, about respect. "Expensive lesson," I observed. "Yes," he agreed quietly. "It was." As I watched him disappear into the crowd, I felt the last of my anger dissolve. Logan Price had wanted to teach me about power. In the end, I'd taught him about consequences. The Vanguard creative offices occupy the top floor of a renovated warehouse in East Austin, with windows that frame the city skyline like a promise kept. I signed the partnership papers on a Thursday, exactly 1 year after Logan Price thought he could erase me with a smile and a pink slip. My team was already there, of course. Marcus designing our brand identity, Sarah crafting our mission statement, James and Rita building our digital infrastructure, Tom managing our growing client list. We'd added 12 more people, each one carefully chosen for talent and character. Lessons learned from watching Horizon burn. The clients had followed us like a migration. TechFlow signed our first contract before we even had office space. Morrison Industries brought 2 new subsidiaries with them. That pharmaceutical company Logan never bothered to understand, They tripled their marketing budget just to work with us again. We're not just building an agency, I told our first all-hands meeting. We're building a place where talent is valued, where loyalty runs both ways, and where no one person's ego can destroy what we've created together. The applause felt different than corporate courtesy. It felt like belief. Jennifer Liu from TechFlow pulled me aside after our first quarter review. You know what I love about working with Vanguard? You actually answer your own emails. Logan sent me 12 messages in 3 days, and I don't think he wrote a single one himself. That was the difference, really. Logan had wanted to rule from above, to be the kind of executive who commanded rather than collaborated. He'd seen my hands-on approach as weakness, something to be purged in his new regime. But our clients didn't want a distant figurehead. They wanted partners who understood their business, who picked up the phone at 9 p.m. when campaigns needed tweaking, who showed up to celebrate their wins and problem-solve their challenges. We established a new rule at Vanguard. No decision about a team gets made without the team's input. No restructuring without representation. No power plays behind closed doors. Transparency wasn't just a buzzword in our mission statement, it was how we operated, every day. The industry took notice. We won 3 creativity awards in our first year. Adweek ran a feature, The Phoenix Agency, How Vanguard Creative Rose from Horizon's Ashes. They wanted a story about revenge and redemption. What they got was something simpler, a story about knowing your worth and protecting your people. I keep one memento from Horizon Nexus on my desk, not out of nostalgia, but as a reminder. It's the original email Logan sent scheduling that fateful Wednesday meeting, printed and framed with a simple caption. Power isn't about who you can fire, it's about who chooses to follow. Logan thought he could dismiss me in a conference room with glass walls and an audience. He never imagined I'd walk out with the one thing that actually mattered, the loyalty of people who build kingdoms, not just occupy thrones. Every morning, I watch the sunrise paint Austin's skyline gold from my office window. My team filters in, coffee in hand, ready to create something extraordinary. And I think about that moment when Logan's smile faltered. When he realized that real power isn't given by titles or taken by force. It's earned. One person, one choice, one moment of faith at a time. Thank you so much for listening to this workplace revenge story. I'd love to know where in the world you're listening from. Drop a comment below so we can connect. If you enjoyed this tale of corporate justice, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts. Have you ever experienced a toxic boss like Logan? How did you handle it? Let's discuss in the comments.